if you're looking for a pretty cookie cutter script they can insert information into, as far as the tell me about myself part, or well, tell me you about yourself. I don't remember the question anymore at this point. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you just a few tips on how to answer the most common interview question, which is tell me about yourself. So, my name is Marlon, and on this channel, I share with you tips and strategies and ways you can improve your life. Now, if it's your first time here, make sure you leave a comment and subscribe. If you have any questions or anything, let me know. If you're returning, welcome back. Same thing, leave a comment, because I'm definitely always in the mood for actual more advice on what I could do my next video on. Now, as I said before, this video is going to be how to answer the most simplest interview question that a lot of us do get, which is tell me about yourself. Now, the first thing you need to actually know about this question, your answer really does not matter as much as you think. Now, they're not asking you to tell them that last year you went like backflipping in the jungle. I don't know if anybody does that, probably not. Now, they're not really asking that. The main purpose of this question is a few things. Now, the first thing is they actually have no idea what to say to you, or is trying to be an icebreaker. The third thing, which is what they're probably using this for, is the one, see how confident you are when you're actually saying things about yourself, your level of enthusiasm, and those are really the main thing, and how you actually convey information to other people. Now, those are the main reasons for this question. In all honesty, most of the time, it is used as an icebreaker. Here's my first tip as far as how to actually deal with this. Now, the first way to deal with actually tell you about myself, or tell me about yourself, is actually getting ahead of the game. Now, you know this question is going to be asked. I know this question is going to be asked. So what a lot of times I do with interviewers, which some might not realize, they do an icebreaker the second you sit down. Because what I do, which is an advice for you, is first thing when you go into an interview, wait for them to say, hey, please sit down here. Don't automatically sit down. They'll tell you where to sit. Now, the next thing you should always do, which is just a little trick that I always pick up, is say, hey, how's your day? And they'll ask you, how is your day? And then you say, well, my day is really good. And then I always make a little small joke. But a lot of times after you ask that, most people, if you genuinely ask them about their day, especially in a work environment, they might give you a hint to how the business was for the day, and you can start a conversation off that. Now, if you use that as an icebreaker, you can always use that information to pivot into a story about something you had to deal with. So one of the places I applied to a very long time ago, I walked in, I said, hey, how's your day? They said, hey, it's been really good. We have a meeting in the next few hours, so I got to get prepped for that. And I'm like, I can completely understand that. At my last job before that, I had to literally spend time planning meetings for tons of people, because I was a supervisor, and information that I actually used all the time was consistently updating, so I had to keep up to date with the team. Now, see how I kind of worded that in with the situation? It's something you have to get a little bit better with, but that's what I normally do to get ahead of the questions. Because normally what happens with interviews, with me at least, is after I answer that question that way, before it even happens, I get to when they ask, hey, tell me about yourself, and they're like, well, I can't really answer this question because you already told me about yourself from seconds ago. So it becomes a joke question. Now, the next way of answering this, which is a more concise way when you're in the actual situation, if you don't do the pre-answer like I do, is when they say, hey, tell me about yourself, keep it very short. The goodest rule of thumb is make sure it's something relevant to your job that you're actually applying for, or it's something relevant to the actual person. So if you see surroundings, or if while you're talking to them, say if you're walking to somewhere and you mention something, make it something a little more relevant. They don't care about how many cars you have. They don't care about 15 girlfriends you have. They don't care how long you've been in a relationship, unless it's a field that's dealing with relationships. Now, that's what you have to tailor it specifically to each person. The good rule of thumb is maybe keeping around 3 to 4 sentences, or maybe 5. Now, another example, they say, hey, Marlon, tell me about yourself. I'm like, well, I had a hard time finding where this was because my GPS wasn't working. I always like leading off with a joke. That's what I've always done. Unless it's a very, very like exact environment. I don't, but in most cases, if they're fairly young or if their demeanor means they're at least not as stuck up as possible, I like to lead off with a little joke. Mind you, I still get to my interview early, but I always make that little joke. Hey, it took me a while to find here, but I left early anyway, so we're golden. Which just, to them, in most cases, when I make that joke, they know I came really prepared in case I get lost. So pretty much they say, hey Marlon, tell me about yourself. I'm like, well, if you're talking about business related, I've been a trainer for a majority of my life. I've been in customer service for almost 20 years. It's more like 15. I mean, I'm pretty old. So, and I say, yeah, I've been in a customer service for almost 20 years. And I'll be like, well, the main reason I actually wanted to apply for this position is because so-and-so. A lot of the places I've ever applied to, it's always been because it's people-based. So I was telling them, hey, I actually really like training people. I like being able to spread information, because one of the biggest thing that's wrong with people nowadays is the fact that you don't know what you don't know. And simple phrases like that, you'll get a lot of people doing head nods. Now, if you're in a situation where they're telling you about yourself and you see them nodding their head, like saying yes, that means it's something they're liking to hear. If they're completely stuck, you change gears. If you're looking for a pretty cookie cutter script that you can insert information into, as far as the tell me about myself part, or well, tell me you about yourself, I don't remember the question anymore at this point. Now, you literally say, hey, my name is Marlon. As you can see in my resume, I've been in customer service for quite some time. I've been a trader for quite some times. Now, something you might not see on that, which is why I'm telling you about myself, is the fact that I actually really do like training people. Because one of the biggest things that happened to me while I was growing up is there was a lot of information that I wanted to learn and I wasn't able to learn it. So I went out and took that extra time to learn it on my own. That's what a lot of things I've always done. If you look at any of my previous job titles, I've been promoted very quickly because I was able to learn things so fast and adapt them and actually distribute them to my team. Now, that is more of a, I said I did a lot of training, so reword that however you like. I'm a big person-to-person speaker, so it's a lot easier for me to actually do that when I'm talking to a person, because I see their mannerism, see how they're actually dealing with anything else. Now, that's what I would say is the easiest way to solve it. Now, one thing I would actually give you a piece of advice if you do want to get ahead in your interview is mimic the person's posture. Girl, guy, does not matter. Learn to cross your legs. Learn to sit forward like me. My normal posture is, my legs actually is, let's say you're sitting like this and your legs normally are like this. I sit like this with my leg on top of the other one with my hands crossed like this. That is my standard posture. That's why a lot of times you've seen in my videos, my hands are together or moving apart. It's because I normally keep them together majority of the time. Most people always have their legs crossed. Mimic their posture. So mimic their posture while you're answering your question, because they'll actually seem more natural to them. Even if it feels weird to you, just do it. You'll notice the vast difference in how people approach you if you just mimic your posture. Now, outside of that, if you guys are good to go, I'm going to be posting another video about another question that most people ask. It probably is going to be at the end of this video or something a little bit similar. Listen, make sure you guys rate, comment, subscribe, and you guys have a nice day.